Hey WCNC Charlotte viewers, my name is Matthew Ablon. I'm a digital producer here at WCNC, and I'm here with Nate Morabito. As you just saw on the 6 o'clock newscast, we were able to ask where's the money when a Concord business owner came to us saying that he might have to shut his practice down. So Nate, let's just break down the basics, the timeline about how Corey Pena reached out to us, what happened since then.
So this is really kind of the most frustrating part to me, is that Corey reached out to me last fall, late fall, early winter. So kind of to rewind just a bit, in July of 2021, North Carolina changed the way it delivers Medicaid benefits to people all across the state, handing over control of the program to 5 private insurance companies. And in the early days and early months of that rollout, we heard from several small business owners, healthcare providers, who provided services but were not getting paid. And Corey reached out late fall, early winter. This is like several months after the transition, saying, we're not getting paid, we have so much that we're waiting on. At that point, I think it was like tens of thousands of dollars, right? We did a story with him at the time, hoping that there'd be some kind of escalation. He had reached out to the ombudsman, the provider ombudsman, basically kind of an advocate for providers, and really not received any resolution. And at the time, we had talked to the Deputy Secretary of Medicaid too, who was really saying it was unacceptable for these small businesses to not get paid, delayed in payment. You can imagine anywhere else, if you do a job and then don't get paid for months, that's not gonna fly.
Right.
So then several months go by. I mean, we're talking roughly a year after the transition. Like now we're into July 2022, into August. And Corey emails me, just totally desperate, basically saying, do you know of any good bankruptcy lawyers? Because I'm gonna have to close my doors. At that point, he was owed somewhere around $80,000. And we started asking questions again. He'd filed the complaints, he had done everything he was supposed to do, and he wasn't getting paid. And at that time, journalists from the other parts of the state were also looking into the same issue. And Corey also connected with a state lawmaker who in the end, kind of all that together, was able to kind of push the accountability so that Corey was able to get his money. I mean, more than $80,000, that's just a ton of money. And I'm just so thankful that he was able to get it. It's ridiculous that he had to wait that long.
And so just to recap, of course, Corey makes these braces for kids who need help walking. Just for clarification, I also needed one when I was a kid when I was in Texas, so I'm actually very familiar with this. And $82,000, it's a lot for a small business like Corey's. So how is the payout going to help him?
So he's basically, at the time that he reached out when he was talking about closing his doors, he was considering selling his house. Right? He had already had to let go of an employee, and he was considering actually selling his house to pay off his debt. He has substantial debt, and this is going to go toward helping that.
Excellent. I mean, that is, just getting results whenever we do ask, where's the money? So other small business owners who are like Corey, who provide maybe medical devices or other services, what do they need to know about this process, and how does it work?
So this process is kind of like, you used to go through Medicaid. The state, that's for people, low-income patients, people who are vulnerable patients. If you served one of those people, you'd go through Medicaid. Now you're going through these 5 private companies to kind of get the care delivered and the money delivered. And basically, if you have trouble initially getting your claims paid, now a year into the program, you're going to want to escalate that to the state. The provider ombudsman is kind of the advocate who could act as kind of a middleman or middlewoman to kind of get that situation addressed. But if you don't have any luck at that point, and we've heard from other people, you need to reach out to us, because we have a direct line to the state. The state is in charge of oversight. So these companies are actually in charge of delivering, but the state can penalize these companies when they don't live up to their end of the bargain. So up to this point, as you heard in the story, about $1 million in penalties, these 5 companies combined a year in. And when they're late on these payments, they also owe penalties and interest. So if we can help kind of move this along for you, we will. There's a lot of moving parts though. I mean, you need to call your lawmakers. The lawmaker in this case was really critical, kind of opened a door for Corey. You can call, obviously, journalists, but get your lawmakers involved too, because they're the ones that basically allowed the state years to prepare for this. And while overall it seems to be delivering care to patients and paying most people on time, the fact that some small businesses are not getting paid, that's a problem.
It is. And so, now that Corey's got the payment, what's next for him?
So this is not all of the money he is owed. So what's next for him is to continue to get paid, quite honestly. He's received the brunt of it, but he needs to make sure that that money continues coming through, and he also needs to make sure that this process is seamless moving forward. He told us that he spends most of his time not seeing patients, but actually on the phone dealing with the bureaucracy of this whole situation. So now he's kind of at the point where he wants this to be smooth for everyone. He wants patients to have the access to care so they're not overlooked and fall through the cracks. And he wants to be able to do what he loves most, and that's help kids with these braces that you said you had as a child. They really make a difference, whether you're able to walk, and sometimes you have the cranium kind of for the skull. So there's a variety of things. He just wants to help these kids, and he'd rather spend all of his time doing that than trying to get on the phone and say, where's my money?
Exactly. Holding that bureaucracy to account is part of what we do here at WCNC Charlotte and with our Where's the Money team. So here on our social media posts, whether you're on Facebook or Twitter, we've got the link to the full story online right now, so you can go check it out. And again, if you have anything that you want us to hold the government accountable for, if you feel like that you're just not getting those gears turning, you can always reach out to us and we can start working on those solutions for you.
Yep, systemic problems, that's what we specialize in as well. And Morabito at WCNC.com, or just kind of leave a comment here right in this post.